Good evening. Good evening. This is the Black Podcast Show. I'm your host, Shantae, as usual, of course. But today is a very special episode. I'm joined by two of my very favorite people in the world. I got my cousin, Big Mike, on the show.
What's going on, Shantae? What's happening?
What's good? And I got my boy, Maximillion P. VanWaldenberg, better known as Josh. Okay, Joshua.
Wherever you are, wherever you go,
Okay.
be sure to take with you the Black Podcast Show.
Oh,
I like that.
Hey, I like that.
Come on, Jingle.
I like that.
You may use that at 33 cents per use.
33 cents per use.
Yes.
You lowballed yourself. But you said it on camera. This
Lowballed
is a
yourself.
verbal contract. It is what it is.
No, it's not a low ball.
No,
But
it's
you are. You my friend. I wouldn't do you like that.
At 33 cents per usage, if I did like even 1,000 episodes, you wouldn't even get 1,000.
It's not about.
You
It's
wouldn't
not
even
about
get
the
100
money.
bucks,
It's
maybe.
really just about me being mentioned. It's not about the money.
I was about to mention.
It's
so
about
you gonna
the
get
mention.
features from this?
Period. First of all, in like probably maybe 6 months, this is gonna be on like the Wendy Williams show or something.
That's a
I don't
fact.
know.
That's a fact. I appreciate that. You're right. You know what?
So it's like,
You're right. This is an opportunity for you. I shouldn't even give you 33 cents. But
hold on, my producer.
Because I rock with you.
Producer, where's that contract you drew up earlier?
okay, so we're going to kick it off with a little motivation. From what I understand, Mike and Josh have some motivation they want to share today. So I'm going to let them have the floor. I'm going to let them take the reins on this one. I usually don't do this on my show.
Yeah.
Because I have a very personal relationship with my audience,
Absolutely.
you know. And I got to get them something to take with them throughout the rest of the week.
Absolutely.
Maybe throughout the rest of the year.
Well, my motivation is focus a little less on who's loving you and focus more on you loving yourself. I think that is very, very key, especially when it comes down to relationships and dealing with people any kind of way. A lot of times we get disappointed by the way someone is loving us. But do we ever disappoint ourselves as to how we're loving ourselves and how we're taking care of ourselves? So definitely put yourself first and make sure you love yourself. That way it'll be easier for you to love and for someone else to love you.
I love it. Wow. Thank you so much. I love that. Great motivation. Wow. If you're watching this, you just got that for free. If you're listening to this at all, you just got some free game.
This time. I'm charging next time.
Period. Facts. We know our worth out here. You know what I'm saying? Okay, Josh, that's a hard act to follow. But you got the floor.
Yes, actually, my motivational message is pretty much along the lines of that, but it's a little deeper. It's like
Yours a little deeper than his.
well, I should say it's a little broader. It's like it's more than just it's more than just who are you taking care of in your love life? Are you doing the pastimes that keep you sane? Are you leaving work on time and not putting in those extra hours because nobody really cares what you're doing at work? Are you taking your vitamins in the morning because, you're making sure that you're virile or whatever have you? It's just all around self-care, because if you're not taking care of yourself, no one is.
Okay.
Your mom did it when you were 6 months, when you were in the womb. It came straight into your blood, but at this point, you're responsible for your own self-care.
That's a fact. That's a fact. I think yours was a little bit more blunt, I'm going to say.
I should have said broader, not deeper.
Well, I don't think it was broader. I think it was more direct, but more like hey, you have to do these things. These things are included in self-care. I appreciate that motivation, y'all. Like, seriously, that was good. Y'all are lucky. Y'all are so lucky to have been able to get those gems dropped on y'all today. So before I jump into today's true crime, I'm not sure if you guys were able to catch last week's episode. I did actually have a former cult member on
Absolutely.
the show.
I regret anyone who missed last week's episode.
She was a part of a TikTok cult, and I kind of just want to get you guys' opinion on that. How do you think Do you think it's real? Do you think someone can really get wrapped up in a cult
Well,
via social media?
I think when, we use the term cult colloquially, we think like, people in hoods and, they've got like pitchforks and like,
Yeah.
it's like it's the whole thing. It's a whole image or whatever have you. And really, all it is like people who are really like a slave to an ideal that may not have been their own, or, being forced to do things or think things that may not have been their own organic thoughts. And it's like a group of people doing it all at once under, typically one leader, right? So that's exactly what this was. That's exactly what this was. So the term cult is completely accurate.
Okay.
But the young lady explained how, I think she did touch on, her self-esteem. And there are people who are predatory, and they will, find people who are that way, say all the right things, or, do the right things, or whatever have you, just to make sure that that person thinks one way or the other, So I can see how somebody in one instance would fall trapped to whatever they're doing. But once you see that this person is doing this to multiple people and it has like a gang or whatever have you that they got going on, you kind of have to know that you're not the special person,
Do you think you could fall for something like that?
Maybe.
Really?
Maybe.
Like a social media cult, or maybe like an in-person type of deal?
I don't know about social media, but like maybe in person.
What you think, Mike?
I think this was definitely the true definition of virtual brainwashing. Brainwashing.
Virtual
I think
brainwashing.
that these young ladies were brainwashed and are brainwashed into following this cult leader. And I think the thing that really surprises people is that this happened over the internet. But
That's where I'm still at with it. I don't even know if I've accepted it.
But
Well, what doesn't happen over the internet now?
absolutely, everything else happens over the internet. We are living in a new normal. Virtual is going to be what's really life. And I believe that since this happened, people can reevaluate themselves and actually, make sure that they know what's coming, because this is what's going to be happening all around.
I think what I want people to take away from that is that you have to be able to think for yourself. You have to. You literally have to. Your life depends on it. I couldn't stop thinking about her telling me that one of the young ladies was told to cut herself 150 times, and she did it. She cut the inside of her thigh 150 times at the demand of someone she potentially had never met before.
Now let me ask you this: how many?
And
Like-
let me just say, even if you met somebody, if somebody told you to do that in person, you shouldn't do it. But it's even crazier, you know what I mean?
No, like seriously, how many like super free thinking people do you really know? Like, of course, you know like-minded people, but there are a lot of people. Most people end up just, they go to work, they go home, they go to work, they go home. They don't really have thoughts, wants, or desires that put them at a class that gives them imagination. And,
I'm going to say, I think nowadays, in 2021 especially, a lot of people do think, yes, young people are more free thinking. I think that it's harder to push those beliefs. Even religion, is a cult,
Especially
so to
religion.
speak.
Okay.
So I think nowadays you see more and more free thinking people. You see more, even older people being a little bit more lax on their, beliefs or whatever the case may be. So,
But as I mentioned in my motivation, are you loving yourself? Are you, it's all about self-love too. Free thinking is one thing, but I don't know that these young ladies love themselves to the level that is not allowed to happen like this. Because this is this is too easy for it to happen. Are they able to love themselves to the place where they know they're being manipulated actively?
yes, I totally agree with that. You do have to love yourself. If someone is telling you to hurt yourself, I can't emphasize enough that that person does not care about you. That person doesn't want the best for you. And I don't mean like just straight up any type of, some things might be painful. You know, I'm not saying that, but if someone is telling you to physically harm yourself using a weapon, that's not a person that cares about you. That's not a person that wants to be with you. That's not a person that you should want to be with. You have to have the courage and the self-love to walk away from that type of situation.
You know, I think that's definitely a lot. That's a gigantic conversation for a whole
It
nother
is.
thing. Because, like, you know, like, abuse in relationships is like such a wide spectrum, and there are so many different types of abuse, and there are so many people in relationships abused, you know, currently. It's just like, you can't, it's not just so cut and dry as like, oh, you just have to love yourself and be done with it. I get it. That's what you want everyone to believe. That's what I would hope everyone would really feel. But I can understand, you know, low self-esteem and not really, you know, valuing yourself like others would see the value in you, you know?
Yeah.
Other people who really love you.
Well, you know what? And one more thing before I get into today's true crime. You had stated when I posted about this, you know, people want to be a part of something so bad. And that's a big thing. That is a big part of it, is that people want to feel as though they're a part of something. They want to be accepted. They want to be a part of a group.
Absolutely.
They want to feel as though there's someone else that relates to them. You know, so yeah, I just think at what risk are you wanting to be a part of the group? So,
well, I mean, that's like ingrained into our very culture, our very nature. It's like, you know, no one wants to be the outsider. Like you were saying, now it's as 2021 it comes to an end, it's becoming a little more acceptable to be the outsider. But it's even on the outside, people are still doing trendy stuff on the outside.
they're still unifying.
Like,
yeah, that's the thing. Like, everybody wants to be different to where
they're still the same.
it makes you the same. But just in reference to the cult thing, I just thought it was crazy. If you didn't catch the interview, definitely check it out.
The young lady came on. She gave a great interview. She, I felt like she spoke candidly with you.
She did. She was very open. Shay Jenkins, shout out to you again. I appreciate you so much.
Shout out Miss Jenkins.
She definitely spoke very freely, and I like that she was so honest, because I know that there's people that was listening and probably felt like this shit is so stupid. But if you can just understand, like I said, somebody wanting to be loved by someone that they've gotten to know. You know, she said that her and
Right.
this girl
Can you
spoke on the phone
imagine your
literally
entire
every single
life?
day.
Can you imagine your entire life having no one say these things to you? Not saying that's her story.
Right.
And then somebody comes along who's had practice, who knows exactly what to say.
Who knows
I
exactly
didn't mean to
what
cut you
to say.
off, but just imagine
From-
I can put myself there.
Well, you know, the cult leader, Angela, was actually a BBW before, and that's pretty much, not even pretty much, that she exclusively dates or preys on these women. Yeah, she's probably been through it, knew what to say, and yeah, it's just crazy. But yeah, let's move on to the next subject. I'm gonna be talking about Gypsy Rose Blanchard and Dee Dee Blanchard. Mike, are y'all familiar with these ladies?
Absolutely.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Okay. Are you from Mike?
I'm not.
Not 100% familiar, but Gypsy Rose was the daughter of, what was her mother's name?
Dee Dee.
Dee Dee Blanchard. And the story is very similar to a movie I watched recently on Hulu called Run.
I wonder, is that movie supposed to be? Tell me a little bit. So, what was it?
So, without going too deep, the mother, you know, I don't know if she was, you know, clinically diagnosed with anything, but clearly, you know, she has psychological issues. Without me being a psychiatrist, this woman gave her daughter medications.
Yeah.
She kept her basically hostage.
Are you talking about the movie?
The movie Run?
Okay.
She
Yeah.
kept her basically hostage. She like impeded her learning, her growth, everything she could do to stunt who she would be as a person. Now, if it was specifically just so she would have, you know, a toy to play with, a baby to carry and coddle, whatever the reason was, she made her daughter literally believe that she couldn't grow, move, walk, or talk, or whatever have you. I mean, literally she could speak, but...
So I think that movie had to probably have been based on this actual story. There is actually a series, if anybody is interested, called The Act. I'm not exactly sure where it is. I haven't had the chance to watch it, but there's a series based on these events with Gypsy Rose and Dee Dee Blanchard. So what happened was Dee Dee has Gypsy in like 1991, and right off the bat, she's kind of saying stuff that Gypsy is sick and Gypsy has these issues.
As soon as she had her.
As soon as Gypsy is, you know, fresh out the womb.
The doctors didn't say that. She said that.
Yeah, she's saying this. So, and Gypsy's father wasn't quite ready for fatherhood. He wasn't ready. They were actually married.
Typical man.
They were actually married, but it didn't work out because he just left. And for whatever reason. But Dee Dee, I think she really wanted to be a mother. So she took Gypsy Rose, and that was her life. Gypsy Rose became her life. Now, the father, I will say this, he did send $1,200 a month. And I think that's quite a bit, you know, for back in those days.
$1,200.
He sent $1,200 a month to help out with the baby. And because she ended up telling him that Gypsy couldn't go to school. She has to take care of her 24 hours a day, 24/7.
That's what she told the dad.
That she can't work because she has to take care of Gypsy.
Was he there when she was born?
I don't remember if he was there when she was born, but he didn't stick around. And I mean, I'm not stating that literally as soon as she was born, she was stating that she had issues, but very early on, Dee Dee would make statements and tell people that Gypsy was sick. Okay. So as Gypsy became a toddler, Dee Dee started saying that she had diseases like leukemia. She would say that Gypsy couldn't walk. So there were actually some people that had never seen Gypsy outside of a wheelchair. And when Gypsy was 7 years old, that's Gypsy and Dee Dee. They were very, very, very close. When Gypsy was 7 years old, she permanently...
Hey, sugar.
She became permanently in a wheelchair. Dee Dee told her that the doctor stated that she needed to be in a wheelchair, even though Gypsy would always say, I don't need the wheelchair, mama. But Dee Dee wouldn't listen to her. And when they would go to the doctors, Dee Dee would tell the doctors that Gypsy had all these issues and would tell Gypsy to be quiet, to sit in the background, play with your Barbie doll, don't say nothing. And as Gypsy got older, her mother would change her age. So initially, like I said, she was actually born in 1991. And then her mom started saying she was born in 93. Then she started saying she was born in 95. And Gypsy would actually ask her about this, and Dee Dee would be like, oh, did I say 91? My bad.
Actually born, man.
Yeah, like she literally would be like, you know, ever since that car accident, I just haven't been good with numbers.
Oh, God.
Such a shame.
Yeah, so even at the point when Gypsy was 18 years old, she thought she was just 14. So everyone around Gypsy Rose, because Dee Dee moved away from her family and friends, once they started asking questions, once they started saying stuff like, hey, Gypsy can walk, why is she...
in a wheelchair.
She moved away from all her family and friends.
Why is she wheelchair bound?
And everyone that met her from there saw Dee Dee as basically a supermom. They saw her as a woman that dedicated her entire life.
Who gave up everything she had to take care of her baby.
Daughter. So Dee Dee will receive, like I said, the $1,200 from Gypsy's father, state assistance.
Of course.
All kinds of extra...
whatever have you.
Yes, exactly. She actually had a house built by Homes for Habitat because of Gypsy having all these ailments. And I mean, if we're able to get a picture up of her, as you can see in some of the pictures, Gypsy doesn't even have teeth. Okay, she does in this one. But in some of them, she doesn't even have teeth because Dee Dee is giving her medication that makes her teeth fall out.
Oh, God.
She's shaving her head and telling her it's because of the chemotherapy. And at one point, Dee Dee actually went to the doctor and had Gypsy's salivary glands, salvits, whatever the name is, glands removed because she said that it hurted Gypsy to eat. Yeah. And so she was able to get a feeding tube placed inside of her daughter so that she could administer whatever kind of medicine
so basically,
she wanted.
she gave her every self-inflicted wound you could think of.
Exactly.
She took away her taste, her touch, her sight, her hearing.
And she would make her literally,
That
she
is
would give her this
horrible.
medicine that would make her drool. So to other people, she appeared to be basically slow. She appeared to be mentally challenged or physically challenged, or as if she had some kind of disease. And
okay, so just a quick aside, like you definitely have to have a deeper conversation about why is it that somebody can get all of these different prescriptions and all of these different medications.
Well, let me explain that. So for Dee Dee, she played the system to a T. And I think that a lot of the people that she interacted with just saw her as a mother that was trying to do everything she could. So a lot of once a doctor would kind of start questioning her, she would go to a different doctor.
And then, like the movie, they had the tranquilizers that kept her immobile, were for like dogs or something like that.
So she wasn't giving Gypsy dog tranquilizers or anything like that.
I figured that was played up for the movie.
But she was giving her like stuff that would. She was giving her medicine for one that she didn't need,
right?
And in addition, giving her sleep aids, and then, like I said, some kind of something that would make her drool. So when they went in public, and Gypsy did also have a lazy eye, so you know she made her look a certain way, and she told her she would tell Gypsy that she was slow, and she would tell other people that Gypsy was slow.
I just believe that this is a more advanced version of manipulation, just like what we talked about in the previous story. You know, these were grown women, but this is an instance where you start from childbirth onto childhood, onto
like the
adolescence,
definition of manipulation.
It's the definition of professional manipulation and brainwashing.
I totally agree. So when Gypsy became a teenager, her and her mother actually opened a Facebook account. But of course, because Dee Dee has to watch Gypsy's every single move, it was a joint Facebook account. Of course. Eventually, Gypsy got up the gall to start sneaking out of bed at night and getting on Facebook to talk to people.
Okay.
The nerve of Gypsy.
Come on, Gypsy.
So when Dee Dee caught her, though, she took a hammer to the keyboard, broke up everything. No. Matter of fact, that wasn't the point when she did that. When Gypsy caught her, she beat the shit out of her.
She beat her?
Yes, she beat her. She tied her to the bed.
No, she didn't.
Yes. So on top of being manipulative, like you said, Dee Dee was most definitely physically abusive.
Dee Dee was never diagnosed with something psychologically.
I mean, if she was, it was never notated, so probably not. She was never diagnosed with anything. Yeah, so she would beat Gypsy if she stepped out of line and reinforce the fact that no one would ever care about her, no one will ever take care of her. She can't do things.
I'm the only one that's going to take care of you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, of course, eventually, like I said, as Gypsy is getting older and older, even though her mom is stunting her growth, she's still growing and having the urges that an young adult woman would have. She's turning 17, 18, 19. She's becoming a young lady. So she is trying to talk to guys. The problem is, everywhere she goes, her mom is there.
Right.
Any conversation she has with anyone is monitored. She can't talk about anything personal at all. So she does start talking to people online. Right. And she meets this guy, Nicholas. Okay, and he turns out to be really, really crazy. He was into BDSM. He was older than Gypsy. I believe he was actually 32 at the time they met. So, you know, it's a little, I'm not going to say weird, but to me it's a little strange for someone to date someone that much younger than them.
Wait. Did you say 32 and 18?
Yes, she might have been like 18, 19.
Okay.
Yeah, she would have had to be 18. but it's legal. So whatever the case is. So for years they talk online, and finally, but at one point Gypsy does try to escape. Don't get me wrong, she actually does try to escape at one point, and that's the point when her mom comes home and break the keyboard, broke the computer or whatever. But she, eventually buys another one, and Gypsy keeps talking to this guy Nick, and Nick is to the point where he's showing her that attention that she's never gotten before. She doesn't really know what red flags are, because the only interaction she ever has is with her mom.
Precisely. Which is a huge red flag, but we're not going to go there.
I mean, well, she can't recognize that for herself.
It's the most reddest of red flags, what her mom is doing to her.
Herself,
but you're right. There's no way for her to recognize. Like, a mom and child relationship is so strong.
Absolutely.
Even in the toxicity, it can be so strong. It's supposed to be the strongest, it is. So, of course, she would never think that her mom was doing anything like this. But the fact that she knew she could walk, she kind of was thinking. She was starting to realize how sick it was, and she wanted to get away. Yeah. Hence, that's where Nick came in. So he's showing her all this attention, and he's telling her he'll protect her from anybody. And eventually, it gets to the point where after, like I said, 3 years of them talking online, she asked him, "Will you protect me from my mom?" And she tells him what's going on. And, in short, she wants him to kill her mom.
So she said, "Protect me," and that turned into save me from or murder?
Basically.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. If your mother will drug you to a state of a stupor and then beat you, when she says protect me, you're probably going to actually need to protect that person.
And I think she needed the protection. It's a hard conversation to have, but do we really want to start penalizing people who get abused in favor of their abusers?
Well, so let me just finish, and we can definitely discuss that. So, like I said, eventually Gypsy and Nicholas meet in person immediately, but she doesn't try to hide it from
she
Dee
looks
Dee.
so happy.
She does. She's really a beautiful young lady.
Where are they from again? Do you know what state they're from?
I don't know off the top of my head, actually.
Gotten a lot of
Somewhere
sun.
in the Midwest. Go ahead,
They're
look it up for me.
kind of pale a little bit, but
She kind of pale.
I was saying there must not be that much sun in wherever they're from. Must not be that much.
But yeah, so I totally lost my train of thought. But Nicholas actually, they met. So they meet. Dee Dee, Gypsy actually did not want to hide things from her mother. Like I said, in her mind, her and her mother are super close. So they meet at the movie theater.
They're from L.A. They're from L.A.
L.A.?
Typical.
Okay. This is some L.A. Hollywood type shit, honestly. So they meet at the movies, and immediately Dee Dee is actually jealous. She is insanely jealous. She's pissed off. She doesn't approve. And whatever the case may be, obviously, Gypsy and Nick continued their relationship, and they began to plan the murder of Dee Dee. And eventually Nicholas would come to execute that plan. But Nicholas was actually a very, very sick guy. He had multiple personalities. And so he had personalities that were extremely violent and aggressive. And Gypsy would actually be afraid of him at times. But like I said, at that point in her life, she didn't really know how to read red flags.
So she's planning to trade one abuser for another.
That was what would have happened.
Absolutely.
So Nicholas actually wanted to rape Dee Dee before he murdered her.
He wanted to.
He wanted to rape her before he murdered her. And Gypsy instead offered herself. And she just wanted the murder, not the rape. So he murders her. In some of the...
Would that even look like a red flag to you? If your existence is my mom is drugging me and beating me?
No.
The fact that this person. He's telling you some good shit, but sometimes he get a little angry.
Well, like I
Sometimes
said, he
might wanna
had
beat
multiple
you.
personalities,
That's what I'm saying.
so she would have to ask. She had to ask the other personality to actually do the murder. So she's thinking like, okay, well, Nicholas is not like this, you know. That's Jake.
This is
or
Split.
whatever the case. Right.
Split
it's sick.
in
It's
real
sick.
life. No, the
Right.
movie Split.
Oh, right. But I don't think. I actually don't think. I don't know. I don't think Nicholas actually had the multiple personalities. I think he was just a sick ass person. He was into BDSM. He was manipulating a young girl that he knew was clearly in a very vulnerable state, in a very ignorant state. Who knows what would have happened to her if they wouldn't have gotten caught, which they did. But what I was going to say is, like I said, she offered herself instead of allowing him to rape her mother. And some of the publications I had listened to were saying that he raped her afterwards. But it was pretty much consensual sex, right?
Yeah, I mean, if she basically offered herself to him, I mean, she still didn't know what she was getting into. But I mean, that's not just her story alone, you know.
Yeah. So, anyways, they did end up finding Gypsy. She did actually end up confessing and explained everything. At first, she tried to, of course, deny everything, act like she didn't have anything to do with it. But of course, she ended up confessing fairly quickly. And
How did he kill her?
He shot her.
Not even something creative.
Like Gypsy could have did that.
You wait a minute, Lo. Like you planned a murder, and that's as creative. Well, they ignorant. They both clearly crazy.
The point is definitely more so to get it over with.
No. The point is, if you're gonna kill somebody, you probably want to be able to enjoy the reason you killed them.
Well, but the reason he was killing her was to get her away from Gypsy, to protect Gypsy.
So how is he going to be able to ensure that she's protected if he's locked up?
I would have thought the murder would have been more excruciating. There would have
Really?
been more of a painful process in that murder. And I would have thought that Gypsy would have gotten pleasure out of watching that.
No. Gypsy, he told Gypsy
Ooh.
to go basically hide. So she didn't see anything at all. She heard it though.
Yeah, I don't think she would want to see her mom murdered because that's been her only caretaker.
Well, she was the one who told him to murder her.
And that's
I'm gonna say this. I think it's a very, very complex situation. And so anyway, Gypsy did end up going to trial, and what everybody said who knew her said they were shocked and appalled when she walked into the courtroom.
When I say see, I mean it's like
no, not even that they were shocked. I mean, I'm sure they were shocked that she did it, but they were shocked when they saw her walk into the courtroom because they had never seen her walk.
Exactly.
So everybody was like, they had so many emotions, like
just seeing her walk.
Seeing right, but then
the fact that she's
seeing
her mother's dead,
where she's walking.
Exactly. Then she's walking to the defense count. But when I say that, I mean when I say that she didn't want to see her mom dead, it's like I don't want to see a pig being slaughtered. But you know, if I have bacon, you know, yada yada X Y Z.
So Gypsy actually got 10 years. And
as she should.
I'm gonna say I don't know.
As she should.
I don't think so.
She was an accomplice to.
I think she most definitely should have went to some kind of, maybe not even a psych ward, but some kind of therapy.
She's doing like jail, and she's got to be. Is she in some regular jail?
That's kind of. I watched some of her interviews. I mean, she's in prison.
She's not in like a mental institution or something like that.
And I watched some of her interviews, and that's kind of what she talks about. That she wishes that she could be somewhere where she could get help.
I think it's difficult.
And she most definitely needs help.
She definitely needs help.
It's a difficult situation because, you know, this, in one sense, I could see the argument of it being a premeditated murder and her being accomplice to that murder. However, on another hand, she was being abused. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the lady in Florida who shot the warning shot. You know, she went to jail for it because she was being abused. She wanted to shoot that warning shot because her husband was abusing her. And so what do you do? Like, what protections do we have? We have protections, certain protections under the law for people that are being abused by their abuser. You know, does this fall under that? You know, it's kind of like, you know, where does this fall?
And that's, me personally, I think that what Gypsy did was self-defense. I really do. Because, and that's kind of some of the things she said was that she didn't know how else she would be able to get away from her mom. And she said people have asked her, well, why you didn't call the police? And she was like, because the way everything was set up, the police would have been like, oh, she's retarded. She don't know what she's talking about.
That's true.
And that's a fact.
That would happen now.
Like, look at everything she's done to prevent anybody from saying any. Look at everything she's done. Period. Like, whether it was preventative,
she would literally go to any length to make sure her daughter remains under lock and key. So yeah, you're right. The girl.
There was no way for her to tell somebody.
The daughter who was desocialized. She doesn't have a bunch of friends. She couldn't have a conversation on the couch with her girlfriend and be like, "Oh, I just want to kill my mama," and for her girlfriend to be like, "Girl, what you talking? You sound crazy."
She can't vent.
Exactly, because she would have to vent to her mother or Nicholas, who is completely insane, schizophrenic, probably.
Even if you are venting,
okay, and like people, no, seriously, people really do have multiple personality disorders. That's like a real thing. But if that's who she found, like the first person who she really connected with over the internet or whatever have you, to confide in, somebody who clearly has no like serious control on their own mental status, like that person is not going to be the one to reassure, to point her in the right direction of like, no, this is a ridiculous idea. Mm-hmm. Maybe one of his personalities did. That joke is in bad taste.
I mean, like I said, he was probably a predator in a sense as well.
Not probably.
Because
he was.
Yeah.
That's why I said, I mean, she traded abusers. You know what I'm saying? He was abusive as well. But it's just all around sad situation.
You think she deserved to be in jail?
I don't.
Not at all?
Not at all. Definitely mental health. You know, mental health needed to be a focus and a priority of this because she was being abused from a very young age.
Well, that's what I'm saying. She never stood a chance. This is her mom we're talking about. This is the person that makes every single decision for you from jump.
But you can't kill someone.
I look at it as self-defense, honestly, because, like I said, she had a feeding tube inside of her. She's making it to the point like
this was a very serious situation.
Every aspect of my life.
It's deep. You're right.
Bitch, I don't even know how old I am.
You're right. You're right.
And as I was mentioning earlier,
and if I call the police, like I said, they're gonna be like, "Your mom just wants the best for you." Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, what I didn't throw in there is that there was one doctor that did actually report, and there was an anonymous CPS report. But when the police came out, there was a child abuse basically report, an anonymous child abuse report. When the police came out, they basically talked to her, and they determined that there was no evidence of abuse. This woman had everyone fooled that she was just maybe
what would be the evidence? What would be the evidence?
Overbearing, but a loving mother nonetheless.
This sounds like Precious. Mary, what she was doing to Precious, how she was abusing and manipulating and stuff.
No.
And CPS was coming out. I mean, not the exact situation, but basically she had, you know, in that instance, she had a hero. That I guess you can say this guy was a hero that came along, but he was abusive as well.
Okay, yeah.
You know, so it's like the situation was.
She beat her.
Yeah.
You did say the mom was beating on her too. So there should have been there might have been some physical evidence. But I mean, if she wasn't beating her at that moment, what evidence would there have been that she was really like not sick? Like, are the police gonna call in an optometrist and a psychiatrist and a therapist and a hematologist?
I will say
to test her right then and there.
For this to have gone on for at least 2 decades, somebody dropped the ball. And as a matter of fact, several people dropped the ball.
Absolutely.
And I think that what you're saying, like, were they going to bring in such and such and such and such, you have to bring in a specialist that can detect abuse, because an average police officer going out to respond to abuse, they have to be looking for a certain list of things. And if they don't see those things, they don't detect abuse. But this abuse was so psychological, so medical. If a medical professional is calling in a report, you need a medical professional to go out to the home with you. Because all a police officer can do is determine, oh, you know what? Yeah, this lady might be a little loony, but she loves a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's it. And he done with it.
He's done.
He got more pressing matters at hand.
It's not as difficult. Yeah, it's not easy, but it's not as difficult to get the whole situation set up. Like, literally, in Wisconsin, like, you can get certain programs where they will come to your home. Of course, I know that's everywhere, but they will come to your home. They will wash your dishes. They will, wipe your butt. And you may have to have one in-home visit to establish your level of need and your level of disability. Maybe one. So that's what I'm saying. Like, especially in Wisconsin, where the benefits are A1, it's not like somebody's has to come and do a quarterly or a monthly wellness check on you. They're gonna, if they determine you disabled or in need, they're gonna give you that disability determination. And of course, your representative is the person who wants to see you stay sick or whatever have you. So they're going to do your,
As I was mentioning before, just to close out, there are protections in the law for people that are abused to kill their abusers. Now, it's very specific and the language is really dicey, but this could have actually, maybe a good defense attorney or somebody that was really cold at their game could have made that argument that that's what was going on right now here.
Yes, I think she needed a better defense attorney because I think she should have gotten charged with manslaughter, but I think she should have went to a mental institution. She needed a better attorney and a better judge.
Absolutely.
I can't understand a judge that would send her to prison for 10 years, knowing the circumstances. This is not if it was a relationship, it would be a little bit different. You can leave a relationship at some point, but your parent doing this from jump, she never had a chance. And even though she wasn't actually mentally retarded, her growth and development was most definitely being stunted.
Definitely.
So, like I mean, said, I think it's self-defense.
As a judge working off of set precedents, it's like, how do you say, like, no, I'm not going to give this person who conspired to commit murder jail time, at least like a decade?
But like I said, I'm not saying that she shouldn't be convicted, but a mental institution, not prison. Yeah. Or some kind of sentence that includes both. Because they're about to release this woman back into society in 2025 when she'll be eligible for parole, and more than likely will get it because she has developed a relationship with her father now and her stepmother, so she has that stable outside connection that they would probably require in a parole situation.
She still needs that.
Right. Y'all are releasing her back into the world unrehabilitated.
Exactly.
All y'all did was lock her up just like her mama did. But she has said that she felt way more free in prison than she ever felt.
Now that's saying something.
That's insane.
That's absolutely insane.
And she could be reformed. We don't know. Let's hope so. I wish her the best of luck, regardless of
definitely wish her the best of luck.
what happens, because she served her time. She paid her debts to society. It's time to get back into the world, and I wish her the best of luck.
I do too. I wish for her to live a full life, as full as possible.
Her life is just getting started.
That's what I'm saying.
She's
even
29.
in 2025, she'll be 32.
Yes, exactly. 25? No, she's 29.
She's born in 91. So 4 years from now, she'll be 34.
Okay.
Whatever the case is, I'm not a mathematician. You know what I mean? All right, but let's close it out. I got about 15 minutes left, so I want to real quick do some Am I the Assholes with you guys? Get y'all's opinions on some things.
Love it.
Yes,
love it,
you
love
are
it.
the asshole.
Funny. Anywho, let's do some tight talk. All right. Am I the asshole for telling my mother-in-law and mother that I'm not here to babysit my husband? I'm a 30-year-old female. I've been married to my husband for a year. We are expecting our first child, and it's a really tricky pregnancy for me. My husband grew up as a mama's boy, but throughout our relationship, that dynamic changed, and he became more independent. His mother always cooked for him, cleaned for him. Even when he was an adult, He was never required or taught how to do house chores. He learned all that through me. I'm working a really hard job since I was 25. I work at a warehouse and I always work overtime because my boss is horrible, but that's another story. My husband is working from home even before the pandemic. Now my mother-in-law and mom call me a bad wife for not caring for my husband properly. They claim it's my job to do the cooking and cleaning. My mom justifies my mother-in-law intervening in our household matters. She says I'm not a proper housewife. My husband complained to my mom today that I'm too lazy, that I haven't cooked a proper meal in a week and I only cook quick, easy meals. I'm working a 12-hour job while pregnant and he's working from home. My job is also a 2-hour drive back and forth from the house. I'm 14 hours a day overworking myself. I'm away 14 hours a day overworking myself while he does nothing to help around the house. And the few times he does help, he rubs it in my face while calling me lazy and complaining to my mom and his mom. While I was at work today, my mother-in-law called me and complained about how her son has lost weight since he married me and how I'm not feeding him, and she would have never let him marry me if she knew how shitty I am as a wife. I told her her son is a grown man who's fully capable of taking care of himself. Also told her to never bother me again while I'm at work, and I hung up. My mom called me a few minutes later to also complain, and I told her I'm not my husband's babysitter. I'm his wife. And if she and mother-in-law want to act like babysitters, then be my guest. I was having a chat with my friend from work about that, and she told me that I'm the asshole because that's what I signed up for when I married my husband, and I should take responsibility when I'm not doing my wifely duties the right way. She said I let online feminists get in my mind, and I forgot what a proper wife is like, and I'm being an ass by trying to rebel against my husband while also offending my mother-in-law and my mom. So am I the asshole?
I don't believe she's the asshole. I think that the number one factor in this is that she's pregnant with their child, not just her child, their child. So, he should be a little more understanding of that. Also, I believe that the biggest mistake that they're making right now is having other people define the roles in their marriage.
Yes.
They should be the ones that define the roles. Who's going to cook? Who's going to clean? Are you going to have certain days? Are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? That is what a marriage and a partnership is all about.
What do you think, Dad?
So it would be nice if it was just outside forces using that definition for their marriage, but he also agrees. He also feels that she should be cooking and cleaning and washing and whipping and no, it's and that's the thing. It's like people rush to get married because they want the ideal or the imagery of marriage. And it's like, do you really know what all you need to sacrifice and what it entails to just like give most of yourself and receive a lot of somebody else at the same time? And I think this is why that guy, Kevin Samuels, is making such leeway on the internet, is because he keeps telling women what the things they need to do to get like a high value man, a high value man, a high value man.
Okay, but wait, hold on. In this story, is she the asshole?
And the point I'm making is, if this is the man that you want, if this is the man that you love, this is the man that you want to be with him, and what his requirement of you is that you cook and clean and be around the house, then maybe you have to quit your job.
Oh, wow.
Maybe you have to quit your job and just live off of his income.
Okay.
At the end of the day, if what he needs for himself to see a successful wife in you is that you're there for him as a caterer, then that's what you need to be. If the marriage is what you really want.
Asshole, though?
Oh, no, I don't think she's an asshole, but I'm not married. I'm not in a heterosexual relationship.
Do you think she's an asshole?
I don't think she's an asshole at all, but at the end of the day, that's her relationship. She's going to do what's best for her.
I'm going to call this lady Charlene. Oh, you know what? I'm going to call her Chanel. She gave me Chanel vibes.
Chanel vibes.
And I'm going to call her husband. His name got to be Gerald.
Gerald. Sure.
Mm-hmm. He seemed like he got he kind of a old school type of dude, but he young. You probably named after his daddy. You know what I mean? And Chanel, I don't think you're the asshole, but it's something that was left out of this story. That's what I know for a fact. It's a lot that was left out of this story. because
Like
he
what?
didn't just get like this overnight. She said that her own friend that she called to vent to told her, you know what you signed up for, and you are the asshole. So why would your friend say that? At first, I was dead set on, this nigga Gerald kind of sound like a bum. He kind of sounds very entitled, and he kind of sound like a little bitch. But then, like, once her friend said, you knew what you signed up for, it's something you're not telling us, Chanel.
He could still be a little bitch. However,
I do think so. I think he's the asshole regardless. Gerald is the asshole.
I think what's really important in this is that this woman is pregnant. Her hormones are all over the place.
That's my thing.
And I believe that that's the reason why she's feeling the weight of these requirements, because of the fact that she is with child right now.
This lady is not only pregnant, carrying their child, she is working 12-hour shifts, and on top of that, she has to commute. She has to travel an hour to get to work, and she has to travel an hour to get back home. This lady is away from the house for
sounds like
14 hours.
That sounds like
every single day,
shitty fucking life.
while pregnant. This nigga works from home. Even if you're working 12 hours a day from home, you're at home.
And do you think if she really didn't want to do that she wouldn't?
Right. If that wasn't a requirement, she wouldn't be doing that.
If she 100% did not want to drive an hour away from work, she would be doing everything she could do.
Didn't have to.
She would do everything she could do to get a new job.
Oh, okay. So you're saying, oh, wow.
If she
so you're
didn't,
still saying.
If she didn't want to have a baby, she didn't have to be.
I mean.
Pregnant right now.
That's a fact.
So some of these parts are her desires.
Right. And that's my thing. It's a lot that hasn't been included in this. And maybe that was one of his requirements when they got married, is that this is what I want from you. And she said, well, I need to work because X, Y, Z. So I don't know. It's some stuff you left out, Chanel. So with that being said, oh, you know what? Actually, there's an edit. So let me see real quick if she added anything of substance.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say somebody's an
Funny
asshole
enough,
for
she
trying
said,
to support their family.
First of all, I don't appreciate the victim blaming in some comments. People blaming me for getting in an abusive relationship and having a baby. It's not always that simple and easy. My husband worked on himself for the better when we first started dating. We were dating, and while we were engaged, we lived together. He was always helping out. He grew up as a mama's boy, but once we became more committed, he started changing his mindset and behaviors and treated me as equal. Even when his mom tried to intervene, certain times he'd put her in her place and defend me. His behavior slowly started shifting back to the gender roles mindset after we got married. At first, it was more subtle, but the signs were there, though not as obvious. As time passed, I also found out I'm pregnant, and it was getting worse and worse. The cherry on top was now, and he has also been complaining to my mom how lazy I am. Okay. For many years, we were equal, and he never displayed the misogynistic mindset since he bettered himself. It only happened after marriage. Okay. She said she'd been talking to her twin sister about it. She was furious when I told her and called our mom to defend me. Okay. So some people asked her if she lived outside of the U.S. Like, they were thinking maybe she was, lived in some kind of society where this would be acceptable. She said, I'm white, American from Illinois. My mom-in-law is a lawyer, and my mom is a school teacher. Her mom says if she keeps screwing up, she'll end up alone, so she better watch her steps. Wow. Okay, that was an interesting update.
What I find most interesting about the story is it seems as if they want her to play a traditional gender role. However, her going to work isn't traditional. Women traditionally did not go to work. They stayed at home. So you can't have, I feel like they want to have it both ways. They want to say, yeah, you can go ahead and go to work and do all of this other stuff, but at the end of the day, you better cook clean, have that house spotless and all of that.
I think I'm confused because her mom is a teacher and her mother-in-law is a lawyer. Like, that's a pretty high-powered career. Like, for a woman to be a lawyer and yet you want this woman to be at home cooking and cleaning for your son, like, that's very strange to me.
It makes me more think about what you said. Certain stuff is left out of this story.
Well, she said that he wasn't like this at first, and I mean, I don't know, unless she's lying.
She
Let's
said
do
he
another
was
one
like
real
that.
quick.
She said he
And
was.
he bettered himself.
She
and
said
then
he
started
was
changing
raised like
back.
a mama's boy, and it was just a little while in between him acting brand new and then after they got married, and he started acting like he.
But
was
how
his
are
entire
those
life.
that are closest to her siding with the man, siding with him, not her? Who's on her side? Her best
Because-
friend not on her side? Somebody got to be on her side. If she's getting dogged like this, and she's literally
It's
going
not about
out,
getting dogged. It's about the fact that his attitude must have been that shitty or that obvious or whatever have you, to the point where even her friends who passed through or whatever have you could see, like, girl, what are you doing with him? And then she turned around and married him. I guess you can't tell nobody who to love or how to love him, but
Well, and I feel like if people live in their present and not their past, you would honestly just evaluate what's going on presently. You wouldn't look at that. You'd be like, hey, what's happening? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like you said before, Auchante, certain things are being left out of this story that we don't know about.
Yeah, I think if everything that she said is true, I'm gonna say Chanel is not the asshole, and Gerald is. I do still think things are being left out, though. Yeah, I think this guy's an asshole, and she's accepted it this whole time, but now she's over it. Okay.
I mean, if you're at home all day and you don't,
get yourself nothing to eat. Like,
pick
how
up the
stupid
socks
are you?
or at least brush the sweeping around or something.
How
Anybody
would you
say
not want your pregnant wife to come
something.
home to something to
That
eat
part.
after 14 hours?
that part?
Like, come on.
She's creating your child.
All right,
I wonder if
let
he
me
would be
do
bold
one
enough.
more real quick.
Would he be bold enough to accept the fact that she's, she's working or not working if she quit her job? Would that be a good? I wonder if that'd be a good look in the house. I don't know.
I would like to know that.
You got
Okay.
another story?
Yeah, I'm gonna do one more.
Am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole? I want to do a good one. Am I the asshole for kicking my friend out of the car?
Oh Lord.
Earlier today, I was driving my friends back home after we worked out. We passed these two girls walking, and one of my friends rolled down his window and said, "I like how those titties jiggle. How about you give the boys a flash?"
Oh.
I instantly got angry when he said that. I pulled around the corner and told him to get out. He thought I was joking, but I wasn't, and he started arguing. He was saying it was just a joke, and he was just messing around, and everyone was on his side saying it wasn't a big deal. At first, he said he wasn't getting out, but then I said I was going to snatch him out if he didn't. He finally did with no type of physical engagement. He lived the furthest, but I made him walk the rest of the way. Everyone else was still mad at me. I dropped them all off and went on my way. I called the guy I kicked out to make sure he got home safe and told him never say any shit like that around me again. He apologized but was still mad because he thought making him walk was taking it too far. Am I the asshole?
I'm gonna say no and yes.
Okay.
No, because I stand him for being respectful to women.
Mm-hmm.
And if more guy friends kept their guy friends accountable, I think we would have less. I mean, like, the numbers on women who don't feel safe just walking, like, down a street is astronomical. And we brush all that kind of stuff under the rug. So, if we held each other more accountable just for the things that we, let our friends get away with, let's start there, right? So the only reason I'm going to say yes, he's an asshole is because, like, come on, you don't make your friends walk.
Yes.
You don't make your friends walk.
Okay, go ahead. What you think, Mike?
Yes, he's an asshole. Mr. Asshole. I just feel like, number one, for him to have these conversations around his friend like this, he had to have been comfortable. This wasn't the first time this happened. Guys have locker room talk all the time.
Okay.
I'm a part of a lot of these conversations. Sometimes I'm listening to these conversations. Either way, that's what it is. So in this locker room talk that was happening in the car, there could have been a better way to teach your friend not to do that than just kick him
Locker
out. You
room
did
talk
too
is
much.
not you hanging out the window like,
Right.
Hey, bitch, let me get them titties, girl. Hey, what is that going on with that, girl?
Exactly.
That's embarrassing as hell.
There's different versions of locker room talk. And
But
some
wait,
of it
Mike,
is that inappropriate.
I'ma
Some of
say
it is
this,
That's
though.
catcalling. That's not
Yes.
locker room talk.
There's a big difference between locker room talk, 'cause that's a private thing.
Right, precisely.
You're talking about a locker room. That's already a personal,
That's
private
a private
area.
thing. That's
But then
different.
to, like you said, hang out the window and say, I like the way them titties jiggle.
harassment.
Give the boys a flash.
Like, what if it was an old lady driving next to him and she heard him? Like, the man probably was so embarrassed that he said that.
Or we don't even know this girl. You know, people have different triggers. This girl might have anxiety. She might have been
Anything.
afraid. She might have been like, what is he going to do if I don't?
Right.
Are they going to follow me? Am I even safe walking down
That's
the
a
street
real
now?
concern. That's a real concern.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to say, I still kind of think he's the asshole, though. I'm going to say that because I agree with Josh when you say you don't make your friends walk home. Like, I feel like he could have got his point across better.
Yeah.
But I will also say, I bet you he won't say no shit like that around him again.
He won't.
Well, if they're even friends still again, because
Yeah.
somebody make me walk, we're gonna have to evaluate our friendship. And I made in personal, confession, I made one of my former friends walk, and after that, our friendship wasn't the same.
Wow.
But she did some fucked up shit. I was like, I had.
And that's what I'm saying is that
If you make them walk, if you put them
And
out of your car.
after I reevaluated our friendship, I recognized that she was more so using me for rides back and forth to school and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I was like,
Okay.
she wasn't really my friend, but I made that person walk, and it wasn't the same. My point.
So
I couldn't see myself doing something like to seriously hurt my friend's feelings. Like if I really love you.
well, it's not always about hurting somebody's feelings, but it's about getting a point across and letting them know I'm serious. Like, I'm not playing.
I understand that.
Well, and nowadays there's Uber, there's Lyft. This was back in 2004, 2005. It was not none of that. So she actually called a ride. It was past midnight. It was terrible. In this instance,
She could have got kidnapped.
In this instance, he could have called the Uber, called the Lyft, the guy who got kicked out. Let's factor that in.
I don't know. I guess I'll see what y'all think. Hopefully y'all will drop some comments. Tell me what you think was. I'm gonna call this guy Martin because he seemed like a Captain Saber nigga type of person. You know what I'm saying? He want to kick a nigga out the car because he really gave the young lady a compliment. He said, "I like the way your titties jiggle." I mean, if this young lady was
Wait a
not,
minute.
triggered, if she didn't feel any type of anxiety, she might have thought it was funny, honestly. Like, I put myself in the perspective of the person that's, like, walking down the street and being yelled something stupid at. Like, I would think something like that was funny. I would be like, wait, what they just say? And then I would probably be laughing for the rest of the day, like, what the hell? So he probably, and if he wasn't even serious, like, he might have just been like, let me be stupid right quick. Like, it could have been a funny-ass situation, and this dude is like, what the hell did you just say, motherfucker? We respect women around here. Like, okay. Oops. Really? Okay, and that's fair. I mean, yeah, but people that are just ignorant and stupid and do stupid stuff, or that are just wild and will do something and, well, but, so you don't know anybody that does crazy stuff and it's funny. It's not, it could be, you never hang out with those people ever.
I think it would have been a better way for him to tell this young lady that he admired her.
Facts.
Pulling over, saying how beautiful she was. Can I get your number? We've all kind of been in those situations before. That would have been one thing, but to be all explicit to someone you didn't even know,
Let me ask
I don't
this,
know.
and I gotta close out because we're probably over time. Okay.
Absolutely.
But just real quick, what if they was listening to Throw Baby and he thought that is the best way to approach a young lady? Yeah. Think about how many young ladies love that song. I've actually, before I heard the song, the way I decided to listen to it was people kept saying it's a hood romance song. So imagine my surprise when the very first words I heard upon turning the song on were sexy little bitch,
sexy little hoe.
And, he does go on to admit that he admires the way she walks and talks and uses her throat. But maybe they was listening to that, and this young man hung out the window like, okay, girls like being talked to like that. I like the way them titty jiggles. Give us a flash. Show us the titties. And I mean, I'm just saying.
I get that point. I'm with that.
If he knows young ladies that like throw baby, he might have said, okay.
He leaned out the window and said, "Sexy little bitch."
Sexy little hoe. Exactly. Nobody would have thought nothing.
She might have started twerking.
She more than likely would have started twerking.
Have you ever been?
She may have offered up her throat.
Have either of you ever been in the club or at a party when this song comes on? Females love this song.
If they turn the music off, it's all female singing. So.
I'm not familiar with the song or the club or.
You're not familiar? Oh, well, I won't talk about some of the things.
Jesus was conceived immaculately. Hey, man.
I won't talk about some of the things I've heard about you, Dan. If that's your story, you're sticking to it. Oh, I've heard some things from some people.
We're running out of time, though, aren't we?
You know what I mean?
Or do we have a moment?
Have enough time.
If we had a moment,
if we was at the beginning of the show, I wouldn't be able to talk about all the things I heard about this boy. All right, y'all, we're going to close it out. Thanks, you guys, so much for being on the show. I had a lot of fun. This was very interesting. I enjoyed y'all's viewpoints on everything. Man, and this was like just a truly special occasion. And me and Josh celebrated our birthdays this weekend, y'all.
Whoop, whoop.
When I say we turned up, yes. Well, you said dirty 30, flirty 30. You know what I'm saying? It's only up from here. It's only up from, and the Bucks won tonight. Got Phoenix raggedy asses off the court. You know what I'm saying?
Check this out. Shout out to the Bucks. Shout out to Milwaukee, to the 414. This is where we're all from. You know what I'm saying? So like, just to see the Milwaukee on the national stage like this is amazing. We never have seen this in our lives. This is dope.
Certainly not. So you know what I'm saying? Milwaukee, we on the map. Milwaukee, what's up? We doing the damn thing. The Bucks. I'm definitely proud to say that y'all from my city.
Can I just say I liked when the Bucks were bad because this is stressing me out.
When we didn't have to worry about the wins and losses. Yeah, I remember them days.
Thanks for watching the show, y'all. Check streaming service, Apple, Spotify, all that.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, always.
Love y'all.